Well, hello and welcome to a new episode of TCB Garage. You see behind us, we have our 65 Mustang. You see it's missing its bumper. If you look real close, you see it's missing a fuel filler cap because it's missing the fuel tank. I'm about to explain to you all about that. I didn't. I took this car to a cruise-in car show this past weekend that a friend invited me to. And I thought, you know, we've made a few improvements on the car here recently, and it's driving good, and it's not the world's ugliest car. I thought, let's go ahead and take it. So I did, and it was fun. It was fun to visit and look at all the other cars. It doesn't have to be perfect to go to a car show. It's fun. But with that being said, whenever I did get there, I hadn't washed my car, which kind of a car show sin, but I'd washed it about a week before. I didn't think it looked too bad. But it wasn't until I did this that I thought there's certainly room for improvement. My under hood view of this car looked hideous. It's dirty for one thing, but yet again, I don't really usually mind the dirty factor so much. It just looked very unorganized and un-car show ready, when really it's mostly just that it's dirty. But there are a few things that I don't like. I really need to reroute and redesign a lot of my wiring stuff with my MSD box, and maybe instead of using the battery for a junction block, maybe use the solenoid and wrap all those up where they're sort of hidden. Generally like wiring things straight to my fuse block. I like it all under the hood because this is where you can see it and service it and make sure it's all still doing its thing. Here's another thing that I just really was super embarrassed about is my overflow jug. This thing has always worked great. This is the second one of these that I've ever owned on a car like this, and they fit on your washer jug hangers really, really well, but they take up a lot of space and they're very ugly, and the cap will always, there's a 100% chance this cap will blow away while you're driving, probably the first time that you drive it with this tank. This had a rubber band around it, because that's high tech, and that disintegrated and fell off, and it really doesn't, the rag won't blow away. The snap-on cap somehow disappears instantly. I guess it pressurizes in there and it pops off, and this doesn't. But I want to go with a proper aluminum overflow tank over here that takes up less space and just looks a lot prettier. I hear you shouldn't go stainless steel because it doesn't chemically react well with there being aluminum in the system elsewhere and coolant, just all in general. Stainless is pretty, but I hear it's not for coolant. And then we just recently installed this export brace, which we love, but we need to, it's so shiny and pretty, it helps make the rest of this engine bay look pretty bad. As a quick fix, I shot these hinges that we're trying to bow in with some white spray grease, and it got the job done, but man, does it make things look ugly. These hinges feel so happy now. But that splattered and made everything look bad. I need to do a little bit of Pour 15 work on that back ledge, and then sand it good and paint it body color. But I was really focused on the tidying factor. Tidying up the wires, cleaning the engine bay real good, maybe some touch-up paint here and there. And then I thought, well, while I'm at it, I've had this dent in this rear valence back here. Well, the valence isn't back here. Let's go grab that real quick. Put that in our trusty shop here. Okay. We've got our rear valence. You can see where it had a dent in it. I've worked that out with some hammers and the hammer and dolly. I'll probably add in a previous picture of the car where it had the dent. I believe believe it was upon retrieval of this car. Man, it smells like a mildewed old apartment or something. I believe it was on the retrieval of this car from the barn it lived in for a long time, and that's still pretty bent out. I think a trailer ball backed into this and hit it pretty good. I got this car in 2007, and I've always had the "I'll fix that later" attitude about this dent. Well, I went ahead and pulled this off, and I straightened this, which I need to finish straightening it, but it's getting there really quick actually. And I straightened this out. This was creased right here, you can probably tell. And it was pushed all the way back. This was almost pushed back to that. It was a nice hard crease. Well, hammer and dolly, I put a block actually in the trunk behind this. Tap that back, and this feels, I think, just where it needs to be. So I got that done. I got this mostly straightened out until I get to straightening the rest of all this stuff back out. I was doing all this off the camera just kind of for something fun to do. Then I started noticing this entire, I guess this part, up here I think it's straight. Down here it's bowed in, and down here it's specially bowed in. This has a dent from the inside, so that's, yet again, there's some good finds here. So I thought to myself, you know, I'm gonna get some clamps and maybe some angle iron and some boards, and and a hammer and dolly, I'm gonna straighten all this stuff out. And yeah, it's got all this surface rust on it, so why not treat and clean all that up? Well, when you're here, you can't really help but to look underneath. And underneath all of these fun surfaces, well, surface rust looks like it's kind of getting a little crusty and flaky and out of control. So why not scrub all that off and maybe pour 15 the entire bottom side of the car. But man, I really wouldn't want to leave that just black pour 15. So I thought, you know what I've always wanted to do that would look really cool is paint that red oxide color. That's just something I've always wanted to do with one of these early Mustangs. So that is on our list. Not quite sure if I'll do that today, but it's gonna happen. We're taking this car apart more than we're putting it together because we want to clean things up on it. And if that's not enough, I like to think of this as a solid old car that doesn't need a ton, and it hurts my soul when there's body issues on the unibody part of the car. Not a bolt-on panel. You gotta get this stuff fixed. It's like it fixes your soul. Been most worried body-wise about this car when it comes to this quarter panel. It's had one put on it. I kind of think it's had two put on it. I think that one was put on properly. And this one, I would just go ahead and say not properly, just not very well at all. It hadn't fallen off, but it's not very pretty. This is kind of a neat little view that you've probably noticed in maybe the previous video of this car. This is a etching primer overspray, which I really didn't care if I got it on here, because if you get the light right, this fender looks terrible. It's very textured. It's got a lot of filler in it, and they just didn't even smooth it out. For one thing, this is a different shape than the door. And looking at the passenger side, the door's the right shape. This shouldn't be as curvy as what it is. Well, here's a lot of why I think that is the way that it is. This I've painted, like I said, with the etching primer because I ground it all out. This had so much filler in it that this piece, this seam, it's probably kind of hard to tell from back there. This is a different surface than this surface. They had so much filler in it, this went straight across, like it was just one smooth line. And all of this was just smoothed over with no visual seam of the quarter panel whatsoever. And man, when you open your driver door and that's what you see, it was just ugly. So I ground it all out to see how bad it actually was. And in a way it was worse than I wanted it to be and pretty bad, until I got to noticing that I can probably simply just straighten this strategically from the back, kind of hammer this back out a little bit. But that's not until after I remove and replace this piece. This is the problem. Whenever this car was wrecked, they went through the effort to replace the quarter panel, but they didn't replace this piece. It has a nice little crease and bow in it down here still. This whole thing is just pushed back. This door has never sounded right when you close it. The other side sounds perfect, and we know that the driver door of any vehicle gets a lot more use and a lot more wear than the passenger side. But it's got to be fixed. We need to make it happy and cohesive with the rest of the car, and that's what it's all about, improving these old cars. Anyway, a fun little challenge and adventure. So, in my experience, you take your junky old car to a car show, it might really help inspire you to fix all the things that are wrong with it. I wouldn't say I was necessarily embarrassed by it. I mean, I kind of was. But it helps really. This car sits in the driveway here all the time, or under the carport, and I don't know, I don't think of it as looking terrible. I think, yeah, I need to fix that, I need to fix this. But man, once you get it out somewhere, it makes you think, I really actually do need to fix all those things. And I've been ironing out drivability and reliability stuff for the past several years on this car, and it's really pretty ironed out. It's a pretty solid, dependable car. So, I would like for you to come along for the ride, and we'll do probably, I don't know, as many episodes as we can. We can make them make sense time-wise. You can join us through our adventure of fixing the car, because that's kind of what the channel is all about. It's a real-world project, ride-along experience. It may seem a little random. Sometimes working on boats, sometimes working on Mercedes, sometimes working on old cars, sometimes working on 3/4-ton truck. Maybe someday we'll be working on some Jeeps. We like those too. But these are my real-world projects, and they're fun. I like them. This is probably my favorite car, and it hadn't gotten really any attention at all on the channel until here recently. So I would like to have y'all join me in the bodywork part of this sooner than later. All of it really, not just bodywork stuff. I'm not a body man, as many body men I know will proudly tell you, but I've learned a few things. Mostly from seeing other people who do know what they're doing, whether it's on YouTube, or a few of the people I've worked with have been very good at teaching me stuff. And you know, straightening metal is not, it's a project that you can pace it, you can make it go slow, so you don't have to. I guess what I'm saying is you can learn it by doing it. You just get the right tools and learn a few practices and start straightening stuff. In order for us to straighten this, I really think the best way about that is to remove the gas tank first. So that's where we're going to start on this, and we hope you enjoy the ride.